Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into something, well, absolutely critical if you're thinking about selling your home, the price. Getting it right.
Right. It's so easy to think, let's aim high, maybe get lucky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as we're going to explore today, that can be a really risky move. It can definitely come back to bite you.
That price tag you put out there first, it sends such a strong message. So, our mission today really is to unpack why getting it right matters so much.
And the pitfalls of getting it wrong, especially overpricing.
Definitely. And then how to actually do it effectively. We're working from this really comprehensive guide that breaks the whole thing down.
Okay, let's dive in then. Why is that initial price just so fundamental?
Well, fundamentally, it's not about what you want for your house or what you need. It's about what buyers, in the current market are actually willing to pay.
And buyers know their stuff these days, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They're incredibly well informed. They spend hours scrolling through property portals online, comparing everything.
Right. Seeing specs, prices, photos.
Exactly. So if your price is like way out of line with similar homes they're seeing right there online, you're instantly on the back foot.
And the property just sits there.
Pretty much. It can become stale, as they say in the business.
Stale, like nobody wants it.
Kind of, yeah. It just lingers. And the really frustrating part, the guide points this out, is that even when you finally do cut the price,
It's often too little too late.
a lot of the time, yes. Once it's been sitting there, that price drop might not generate the same buzz, the same interest it could have if you'd priced it realistically from day one. You could even end up selling for less.
Ouch. Less than if you'd just been realistic upfront.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk specifics. What are the actual tangible consequences of setting that price too high?
Okay, the first major one is missing what the guide calls the golden window.
Golden window. Sounds important.
It is. It's typically the first, say, 2 to 4 weeks your property is listed. That's when you get the absolute peak level of interest.
Right, the initial flurry of activity.
Exactly. Especially from the really serious buyers, the ones actively monitoring new listings, ready to pounce. If you're overpriced, well, you're basically launching to an empty theater.
Because. Oh, because they literally won't even see it in their searches.
Precisely. They set their price filters on those websites, right?
Yeah.
If you're asking prices above their maximum budget, your beautiful home is effectively invisible to them.
Wow. That's a huge missed opportunity right there. You can't really rewind that.
You can't get that initial momentum back now.
Okay, what else goes wrong if you overprice?
Well, you risk just completely alienating the buyers who are qualified and looking in your area and price range.
You just dismiss it immediately.
Yeah, if your home is significantly more expensive than comparable ones nearby, they'll just scroll past. And there's a psychological element, too. The guide mentions this.
What's that?
Buyers might start thinking, why is this priced so high and still sitting here? They might assume you're not really serious about selling, or even worse.
That there's something wrong with the place.
Exactly. It raises suspicions before they've even considered a viewing, creates a sort of negative buzz.
Okay, so it puts buyers off. Anything else?
Yes, and this one's a bit ironic. Overpricing your home can actually help your competition sell theirs.
Wait, how does that work?
Think about it. If your house is listed for, say, R2 million, and similar houses nearby are correctly priced around R1.8 million, yours makes the others look like amazing deals by comparison.
Huh. So you become the benchmark for being too expensive. You're basically advertising your neighbor's reasonably priced house.
You inadvertently make them look much more attractive. Not exactly the plan, is it?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And what about later, if you have to cut the price?
Ah, yes. The guide highlights this too. When you eventually do reduce the price, which often happens with overpriced homes, it can send a signal of, well, desperation.
Makes sense.
Buyers see that price drop and might think, see, it wasn't worth the original price, or maybe there is an issue. It can lead to them making even lower offers and negotiating much harder.
It's like blood in the water almost. They sense weakness.
It can definitely feel that way. You've lost some of that initial negotiating strength.
Okay, let's dig into the buyer's mindset a bit more. We touched on filters, but how else does their psychology play into this?
Well, as we said, budget is key. Most buyers have a pretty firm ceiling, and those online portal filters are their first line of defense. If you're outside that, you're out. Period. They won't see your amazing kitchen or the great view.
Doesn't matter how nice it is if they never see the listing.
Exactly. And beyond just the price filter, buyers are constantly comparing value. They look at your house versus others in their range and ask, what am I getting for my money here?
Right, they're looking for advantages.
Yeah, like, does this one have a bigger garden? Is it closer to the good school? Has it been recently renovated? If your overpriced home doesn't offer clear, tangible advantages over the competition at a similar lower price point, it'll get overlooked. The value proposition just isn't there.
You need to justify that higher price tag with something concrete. Now, what about that common seller argument? Let's just test the market high. We can always drop the price later. Sounds logical on the surface.
It sounds logical, but the guide really calls this out as a myth, often a damaging one.
Why is that?
Because, as we discussed, that initial listing period, that's your prime time. That's when you have maximum attention, maximum excitement. If your house just sits there for weeks or worse, months because it started too high,
It gets that stale label we talked about.
exactly, it develops a stigma. Buyers and even other agents start wondering, what's wrong with it? Why hasn't it sold? It becomes tainted goods in a way.
Like seeing the same item on sale for ages, you just assume it's faulty.
Precisely. And the guy really emphasizes, even if you correct the price later, you often can't recapture that initial buzz. You've missed your best shot.
Okay, point taken. Testing the market is usually a bad idea. Now, shifting gears slightly, some sellers worry their agent might push for a lower price just to get a quick sale, a fast commission. How valid is that concern?
That's a common misconception, and the guide addresses it too. Think about it. A good agent's reputation, their future business, it all depends on getting good results for their clients.
Meaning the best possible price the market will bear.
Exactly. Their goal is actually aligned with yours to achieve the highest realistic market price. It's not just about speed.
So what value does the agent bring to the pricing decision then?
Oh, huge value. They bring objective market knowledge. Crucially, they provide a comparative market analysis, a CMA.
Right, comparing your home to recent actual sales nearby.
Yes, what similar homes really sold for, not just what they were listed at. That's key data. Plus, they understand buyer behavior, what's happening in the market right now.
Trends and things.
Yeah, and strategic pricing techniques like we'll touch on later. And they have the marketing tools to get your property seen by the right people at the right price.
So trusting their expertise based on data is usually the way to go.
Generally, yes. It's about leveraging their experience for a smoother sale at market value.
Makes sense. What about factors outside the house itself? How much do wider market conditions play a role?
A massive role. The guide stresses this. You can't price in a vacuum. Things like interest rate hikes, general economic uncertainty, political news, even the time of year.
Seasonality, right?
Yeah, and local developments too. A new shopping center, a better transport link, or even a new school popping up nearby, these can all sway the market up or down.
And how does being overpriced make you vulnerable to those shifts?
Well, if the market starts to cool down, maybe interest rates go up and buyers get cautious. An overpriced home is going to feel that pinch much harder and faster.
Because it's already pushing the limit.
Exactly. You might find yourself needing to make much deeper price cuts later just to catch up with the new market reality, potentially selling for way less than if you'd been competitive from the start. You're more exposed to those negative changes.
That's a really important point. The market doesn't wait for you to adjust. Okay, we mentioned stale listings. How long does it take for a property to get that label, typically?
Generally, the guide suggests around the 60 to 90-day mark. If a property has been listed for 2 or 3 months or more without selling,
People start to wonder.
yeah, buyers and agents notice. It develops that negative perception we talked about. Why hasn't this sold yet? Even if you drop the price significantly then, it often doesn't get the same positive attention it would have as a fresh listing.
It's lost that initial shine.
And it really has. It's harder to generate excitement.
Are there other costs to overpricing beyond just a delayed sale and potentially lower price? Hidden costs.
Oh, definitely. The guide points out several. Financially, there are the ongoing holding costs.
Nice.
Your bond repayments, rates and taxes, insurance, basic maintenance, utilities. It all adds up month after month that the house doesn't sell.
Right, that keeps draining your account.
And then there's the opportunity costs. The
Okay.
time you're stuck, unable to move to your next home, or maybe missing out on another investment opportunity because your capital is tied up.
And I imagine it takes an emotional toll, too.
Immense. The stress of keeping the house show ready, dealing with potentially few viewings, maybe getting lowball offers or negative feedback, the sheer uncertainty. It can be really draining for you and your family.
Okay, so we're convinced. Overpricing Generally bad news. What are the practical steps, then, to get the price right from the start?
Right, let's get practical. The guide offers some solid tips. Number one, work closely with your agent to get that detailed comparative market analysis, the CMA.
The data-driven approach.
Exactly. It looks at recent comparable sales facts, not feelings, to establish a realistic price range. Ground your expectations in that data.
Okay, CME first. What else?
Understand how buyers search online. We keep coming back to portals, but it's crucial. Buyers often search in price brackets, usually using round numbers.
Like looking for homes under our 1.6 million, for example.
Precisely. So the guide suggests pricing strategically just below those key thresholds. Listing at, say, R1,599,000 instead of R1,620,000 might seem like a small difference.
But it means you show up in searches for everyone looking up to our 1.6 million, whereas a slightly higher price cuts many of them out.
You got it. It maximizes your visibility within that crucial buyer pool. It's a small tweak with potentially big impact.
Clever. Any other pricing tactics?
Well, the guide advises leaving a little bit of room for negotiation. Most buyers expect to haggle slightly, but, and this is important, don't build in a massive buffer.
Why not?
Because if your asking price is wildly different from the perceived market value, serious buyers might not even bother making an offer. They'll assume you're unrealistic. So a small cushion, yes. A huge gap, no.
Got it. What about tricky properties? Really unique or high-end homes?
Good question. For those where finding direct comparables for a CMA is tough, the guide suggests considering a professional evaluation from an independent, qualified appraiser. It gives you an objective assessment.
Provides an unbiased benchmark.
Okay.
Now, let's say someone did start a bit high. Maybe they nudged the price up against advice. Is all lost, or can they recover?
It's not ideal, but there is a strategy for damage control, according to the guide. The absolute key is speed and responsiveness.
How so?
If you do list slightly high, you need to monitor interest like a hawk in those first 2, maybe 3 weeks, 14 to 21 days.
Watching viewing numbers. Feedback.
Exactly. If viewings are really low or the feedback you do get consistently says price is too high, you cannot afford to wait. You need to adjust and adjust quickly.
Don't stick your head in the sand.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And the guide also suggests using that necessary price reduction as a marketing tool.
How?
By actively promoting it. New price, price reduced. Seller motivated, now asking X. Frame it proactively to try and recapture attention and signal you're serious about selling.
Turn a negative into a potential positive, or at least mitigate the damage.
Right. It shows you're responding to the market.
Okay, this has been really insightful. So wrapping up, the core message from the guide seems crystal clear, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Being a smart seller is about strategy, not just optimism. Overpricing might feel tempting, like you're setting a high bar or playing hardball.
But it usually backfires.
Frequently, it leads to delays, extra costs, stress, and often, ironically, a lower final selling price than if you'd priced it right initially.
So the key takeaways are:
work with a good local agent you trust. Rely on the market data. The CMA is your friend. Price it correctly, competitively, right from day one to attract the right buyers immediately.
solid advice. So, as we finish this deep dive, it seems the art and science of selling isn't just about the house itself, but very much about that initial pricing strategy. Avoid the temptation to overprice, be competitive, get expert help, and be ready to listen to what the market tells you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And maybe a final thought for you to ponder. Considering everything we've discussed, buyer psychology, market shifts, agent expertise, timing, what does a truly smart approach to selling look like today, going beyond just that initial listing price? What are all the other pieces you need to get right? Something to think about.